Well, Johnny, this new Thursday laid-back version of the Road to Success podcast is aimed at guests that have been on before. So if anyone would love to hear your story of how you got to where you have done, we've left a little pop out on the banner right now on the screen to your first ever episode where we were sat right here. But I've named this Thursday series Save Our Cars. And I think that is such an appropriate name for a lot of the philosophy and what is the meaning on your channel. Because you absolutely love to find cars worth saving, don't you?
I do, I do. And can I just say before we crack on, thank you for the interview last time, because it was one of my favourite interviews that I've done. In fact, it might be my favourite interview that I've done. I don't know why. I just felt like I could just pull the ripcord and go for it.
People say this, and I think, what an odd character as a 26-year-old ginger bloke sat opposite, but somehow tend to bring out something in people occasionally that make them feel that way.
I don't know what it was. Yeah, it's just like maybe just the guard. The guard is down, and that's a good thing. So I really enjoyed it. I don't even know how long ago that was, but
yeah, that's the way you think when talking about speaking to me on a podcast, where a lot of your videos and the ones that obtain hundreds of thousands of views are you doing exactly the same in sometimes quite difficult circumstances, because a lot of your barn find videos are often a cause of someone actually passing away.
Yeah, that's right. The barn finds, they're the best performing video on the channel, and they sometimes take several years to set up because you are dealing with sensitive material. You're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with bereavements, you're dealing with maybe people who have mental health difficulties like hoarding and stuff to do with family, not being able to let go of a car because it was a late relative's favorite thing. So you got to take that into account, because if you don't, you could upset people. And also getting to the point where they'll even let you open the garage door and stand in their garden can take several years.
Because you're mostly dealing with an older demographic for those style of videos, aren't you? And that can be a demographic that may have not discovered YouTube. That might not be their thing. It's a bit like my mum is only just discovering YouTube and absolutely loving it. But typically that means that the barrier to actually bring someone into that world, especially their personal life, is so challenging. So you said several years. Where the hell do you start on these barn find projects?
Okay, barn finds, right. Where do we start?
Or just hidden personal cars that have been lost, whether it be in a garage or a barn find or whatever.
So I, rightly or wrongly, I don't ever recce the car or the location. People say, oh, you should have gone there and checked what was broken on the car. It's like, well, yeah, maybe. If it was TV, we would. But I just say, I want to just do it raw. I see some pictures. We usually get email pictures, and we know what the garage looks like. So access. I know if I've got to chop a tree down or, tow a car out or drag a car out, what the terrain is. And then beyond that, really, it's more a case of like, we'll take the car as it is, and we know the personal circumstance roughly, and we just go with it. So I take tools, I take cleaning stuff, and a lot of layers in winter. Winter's hard because you've got short daylight hours. You're outside, stood still. Bugger me, you get cold, and you just talk to the person. And because I'm not a sort of loud in your face person anyway. Maybe that's quite disarming for them. I'm not trying to sort of shout and point and like hop around. I'm not an MC on stage, so it's not that sort of show. And a lot of people weirdly have said they watch it and they find it quite therapeutic. A bit like me sitting looking at that lake, having a brew.
We've got the side door of the van open today, and one of my other passions away from the Road to Success channel is building a fishery, digging a big hole. I've said many times before that other than the Digger Girl on YouTube, blokes love to dig holes.
This is true.
And there's something quite therapeutic about looking out on a hole full of water.
Yeah. No, and I think I said it in the first podcast that we did together, the first interview. One of my ambitions is to build my own pond. Which a big pond becomes a small lake, I guess. I don't know where the threshold changes.
Now, because I got so much literal hate on YouTube for referring to mine as a lake, not a pond, I can tell you exactly where the threshold lands.
Is it like a gallonage?
0.75 of an acre in the UK is the official size that a pond becomes a lake.
Okay, 0.75 acres. Okay.
It's hotly debated.
Yes.
Hotly debated in the world of fishing.
Is it?
But because mine is 0.76 acres, I'm on the side that says it's a lake.
You are. So is that like a boat and a ship type of thing? When does a boat become a ship?
Yeah, and
Right.
I guess that can apply in many forms of things, like cars. When does a car become undrivable? And a lot of the cars that you see, although they don't run, we now know from the amount of amazing automotive channels that rebuild cars from the most horrific states, that not everything is lost. So many cars get brought back from the absolute brink. But I suppose, when is it the same car? Because then this is the other challenge as well. It's like Trigger's broom saying, I've had 10 handles and 4 brushes. It's not the same broom, is it?
It's true. I mean, going back to what you said before about kind of saving stuff and resurrecting it, I think people like to see the rescue. People like to feel like things have not been wasted and junked. And I love that mantra that seems to be increasing with younger people of like the mend and make do idea that our parents or our parents' generation, usually wartime, post-war, of like, just don't, you didn't have as much money, so you don't throw stuff away, mend it. And we've got so far away from that with a kind of single-use items that people have forgotten that you can just mend things and it's okay to just repair things.
And I think that's why you were so frustrated when I sold my 930 Turbo, because I would hear from Johnny anytime I put up a picture or post of that car. And when I said that I was getting rid of that car, which many of you might not know that I had, that kind of know my vehicles, but I had a 1989 930 Porsche Turbo, and it was incredible. And I'm so glad that I've ticked a box of owning a classic now and something completely different. And the things you just don't get are the smells, the feels, the ripped leather. But there's something special about Porsche, and even something more special about finding a Porsche. Do you want to just let on to where you were today?
Today, I was doing a barn find this morning. Well, it was like a barn find that turned into a car cave. So we had a couple of barn find vehicles that weren't quite Porsches. Then we sort of uncovered some other Porsches, and it turns out this guy and his late father, his late father influenced him with quite quirky car choices. Was obsessed with Porsches that weren't 911s. So loved a 4-cylinder, 968s, hot 924s like turbos and stuff, 944s, all the ones that really don't get as much love. And they just bought them and bought them, bought them. There were sheds. There were lots of them.
This is good. The bit that baffles me, though, is how amazing cars like that. Clearly, at the time, someone had enough money to be buying multiple versions of a prestige car.
Yeah.
And yet suddenly...
Four or five of the same thing.
This blink in time, this period goes by, and one's sort of parked over there and one's parked there, and there's no kind of next to each other perfect prettiness anymore, and they've been taken over by nature, and it's all to go. How does that happen?
Well, it's a very good question. Sometimes people just keep chasing the next thing, and I think it's quite a male trait, the thrill of the chase. I think it's the hunter-gatherer thing of like, I'm going to go out and chase a goat, I'm going to catch it, and I'm going to eat it. And then I'm going to go and chase another goat, or maybe a lamb, or maybe a chicken, or maybe a fish. And then I'm going to cook it, and then I'm going to chase another one. And I think this hunter-gatherer instinct is like hoarding with cars. So I've heard stories of people getting a car, driving it around and enjoying it, and then it needs like 2 things doing to it. And instead of doing the 2 jobs, which aren't really that much of a job, like we're talking a day's work perhaps, maybe 2 days, a weekend, they just buy another of the same one, because in their head they go, perfectly reasonable, I'll just buy another one. And they don't get rid of the other one, even though it's worth something. They go, I'll come back to that. And that coming back to it can take 2, 4, 10, 20, 50 years. I've seen half a century. A car has sat for half a century.
If you have a car on finance, I'm about to save you thousands of pounds with a simple refinance through Lillian Stanley. I have recently done exactly the same with this very van. See, when I took the agreement out a couple of years ago, interest rates were high and I went to a main dealer. I told them what my budget was for the monthly payment, and because we got within that, I never questioned it. However, it was at 11% APR, and some people have paid as high as 13% APR. What have you just said?
We're paying 13.1% for my girlfriend's Golf.
Literally, Toby is editing this video, and as he's editing it, the placement to go to the podcast, you just said that the Golf that your girlfriend had just bought is at
13.1% APR.
And you are literally going to call Lillian Stanley
Yeah.
once you finished editing this. See, that's how you save. You can refinance a vehicle at any point in his agreement. It doesn't matter if it's 2 days in, 2 months in, or 2 years into the agreement. Now those base rates have dropped. If you go private to someone like Lillian Stanley, they will find you the best possible rate. So half the time you can make a saving just by picking up the phone and asking the question if you could refinance and save money. I've been so amazed at how quickly and easily we did that for this very van. I'm currently doing it for my McLaren 600 LT and my fleet of vans within my business at Gertwings too. So if you're interested in saving money, going on holiday with it, or doing whatever else, then click the link in the description below. I've also left it as the pinned comment too, to go and save yourself some money. And you could do this in as little as 48 hours. Thank me later. I don't want to skip over the part that you said in the first minute of the podcast of sometimes it can take years for you to set up getting to the shoot, actually making a video happen.
Yeah.
Right now, how many kind of, just roughly, not to the exact number, but projects are you working on that you think might roll into next year or the year after? Is there a constant list?
Yeah, like barn finds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, barn finds, absolutely. You've got to put loads of irons in loads of fires. And you're just checking on all the fires, you're spinning on all the plates. And some people U-turn, they're ready and then they're not ready. And then we go to film them next week and they pull out and they go, look, I'm sorry. And there's personal reasons sometimes. And then they just go, oh, I just don't know if I want to be on camera, or my son-in-law has told me that it was a terrible idea. And you have to gain people's trust, because they think sometimes that I'm going to turn up and try and either rob them or buy the car off them for 400 quid and then run away and then put it on eBay for 40 grand. So there's that whole, like, is he going to scam me? And I'm really upfront, and I always go, look, I'm not interested in buying the car. Whether you want to sell it or whether you don't, it's up to you. I'll help you sell it if you want to sell it, but I don't want to buy it. And that's actually true. I don't think I've only ever bought one barn find car, I think. And so I just say to them, look, I'm helping you. I want to cover the story, document the story of the car. I want to try and improve the car in some way. Will it run? I'll try and make it run. Will I clean it? I'll try and clean it. And sometimes that acts as a catalyst for them. They hear it running again and they go, look at me, I missed that car. And I've seen people cry when a car splutters into life. I mean, we haven't always caught it on camera. We've tried. But you realise that cars are machines. We know this. They're not living beings, but they are capsules of memories that come along with you with life. And they can be shit cars. They can be exotic cars. They can be valuable. They can be valueless. It's the sentiment and the memories which is... And that's what... As I've done this over the years, I've realised the stories are more important than the car. The human connection is more important than the car.
Well, one of your most recent videos that's just gone live was of a car at Glastonbury.
Yeah.
And not just any car, quite a special car as well.
A serious car, yeah.
And I've seen the views go whoop, because this weekend it is in fact Glastonbury. I know you didn't upload that by chance.
Yeah, I mean, we were going to put it out 2 weeks ago, and then I was like, I'm going to hold this and put it out on the week of Glastonbury. And it is so close to the festival. Like, as the crow flies, it's like 30 seconds a minute.
How did you find out? This is the bit that fascinates me, because it's all about the story. And you go there and you cover the story of that car and how that car got there, and then everything that kind of goes around that. But I want to cover the story of how you found that car.
Okay, so that car, the Audi RS2, the original Audi RS, like a real rare creature. The owner of the car didn't follow the channel, didn't know who I was or anything, and this is quite common. But someone who's close friends with him knows me. We've spoken before, and he's helped out, and he's quite well connected. So he went, right, I know of a friend of mine who's had this thing for 25 years. I'm going to convince him that you should go and visit and get the car out and do it. It'll take a little while, but I will do it. And blah, 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 blah. Magnus, thank you. In Scotland, he decides to convince Maz, the owner. Maz knows, and I'm not going to go and rob him or try and buy the car for £1,000. And thus we set up the shoot. And yeah, gosh, that was...
And then how has that car, how is it just there?
Again, it's one of those cars. He's owned it for 25 years. He bought it when it was, like a high-powered exotic car, but it wasn't worth what it's worth now. So he used it as an everyday family car, and he lived in London and he lived in Scotland. So he drove it a lot between London and Scotland, and then he moved to Somerset thereafter. And then it started to need loads of maintenance, and the cost of the parts of that car were both high but hard to get, because mail order parts weren't quite as cool as what they are now, and the following for that car wasn't as strong as what it is now, because it's now a classic. It wasn't a classic before. And I think he realised, I need to put this to one side. I don't want to get rid of it, but I'll come back to it and I'll buy a more sensible, cheaper, everyday car. And that put it to one side for a year, turned into 10. And that's what he just didn't store it quite as well as he should have done.
I've never thought about something that you just brought up there, which is we always look at whatever the car is at the moment that you found it. So let's say something that maybe 30, 40 years ago was a kind of normal car, Renault 5 Turbo, a performance version of a family car and a French hatchback.
Yeah.
That car now would be £90,000 for a mint example on collecting cars, maybe, and the rest.
Oh, yeah, the mid-engine one, yeah, £100,000, yeah.
And the thing is that at the point that that car was left and forgotten, it might have just been a Renault 5 Turbo.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But now it's a Renault 5 Turbo. And it's just incredible how, in that stillness of that car being sat there, how much value it's gained in a memory.
Massive. That happens a lot. And I think people watching it who start shouting at the screen and they're quite judgy. The internet's quite judgy, right? And you've got to remind people politely and say, listen, these people, they're not malicious, strange people. They didn't buy a brand new McLaren and then park it in a wood and walk away for 15 years. They didn't do it intentionally. Something happened. And most of the time they don't leave it in a wood. They put it in a garage. Let's say something really serious happens to you and one of your supercars has to come off the road. But you want to keep it because you think, I'll come back to this. In 2 years, finances, my head will be straighter. I can go back to it. But that 2 years turns into 20, and it just does. But you can't bring yourself to get rid because you love it.
I heard a story, and I've got to be very careful what I say here. But I heard a story. I know of a modern Italian supercar that ended up having to be hidden in some woods in a foreign country. And I do know the details of the story.
This is Narcos.
And it got there via being loaded on a lorry with a forklift very quickly. And that is what the owner had to do with that car.
Yeah.
And it's like, in that circumstance, that particular owner makes so much money. It's like, will he ever care about going and getting that particular car back?
I'll be there in a decade's time.
You'll be there in a decade back, wondering what it was. But I can, when I sit and think about it, I understand how this does happen.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. Like, it's only when you actually have the chance to sit over a cup of tea and think. I bet all of us, if you're listening now, you're on the motorway, you're at home, you're listening to this. I bet you can think of someone that you know that has something tucked away that blows your mind. And I just sat here thinking of
absolutely
our old financial director at our previous company that I know has 2 Lotuses covered in brambles sat in their garden near me.
Right.
And I've only just had it enter my head because these are thoughts that a lot of people put to the back of their heads, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, hello,
because
Ben.
nothing's happening.
Lotuses in hedges. Hey, well, call me.
That's a pretty incredible brand to just be sat kind of being overgrown. What over the years has genuinely blown your mind when you've turned up and seen? What springs to
Well,
mind
the
to begin with?
the Lamborghini Espada barn find that was in a real barn in Cumbria, and the setting looked so fake because it was so perfect that it looked like it was straight out of Forza Horizon. Hi, I'm Johnny. My friend Ben here is lovely, and you should really help him get to 100,000 subscribers by liking and subscribing and commenting and doing all the algorithmic shizzle that you need to. Thanks, bye.
Take us back to the beginning of that story, and not the story of the car, the story of you finding that car to get in that piece of content live.
So I got emailed by a chap that followed the Late Break show who was like childhood friends with the family whose small holding had the car stored in it, but it's not their car. The dad who owns the small holding passed away, and there's 4 children, and they're trying to sort out the estate and sell the house and sell the contents of the barn, most of which is just junk. But there's a Lamborghini in there, and it's been in there for, I think it was 30 years. It's definitely over 20. Okay. It's an Espada with a really rare number plate on it, quite a small red, personal reg. So I don't get the full story, but I get permission to go there and film it. I know that one of the siblings was prepared because they couldn't find the owner. Turns out their dad had done a deal, cash, with the owner of the car that needed to put it away quickly out of sight. Genuinely did time in prison. Had to get rid of the car, but didn't want to sell the car, but couldn't own the car for a while. Obviously did some criminal naughtiness. Dad dies. The deal was all verbal. Bloke is either still in prison, or it turns out, I've actually found out now, he's not in prison anymore, but if he claims ownership of the car, HMRC will pull his pants and trousers down. So he can't say it's his car, but it sort of is his car. Car gets sold through one of the other siblings who doesn't talk to me very straight, and I still can't work it all out. This has happened a long time. The car goes to auction, it does sell. It sells for a bargain. I get offered the car for 10 grand cash, and bugger me, I wish I'd taken it. Because although an engine rebuild on those is 40 grand, it turns out it didn't need an engine.
Oh.
So the person that bought the car paid 27 for it and had it on the road within 3 months. Brought it to one of my shows. Yeah, so I say to my ex-wife, my wife at the time, I should buy this car. And she says, but it's a big risk. I say, it is. Toing and froing, and I didn't buy it because I couldn't risk the 40 grand engine rebuild if it needed it. And the bloody thing's been sat for 30 years and it's a Lamborghini. So I'm like, okay. And this person bought a bargain. But in those sorts of webs of confusing messages that you get, it's just so weird. Cars just disappear, or they're made to disappear. And this isn't just cars, Ben. You know it. It's like jewelry, assets have to disappear. And you drive to work in the morning, right? And you realise you're driving past hundreds of houses or hundreds of people on the road. Some of them are dodgy. They just are.
A lot of them are dodgy.
Every morning you could be driving past dirty crims that you don't know about. They could be really nasty people and you don't know because you're just driving past them, or you're just driving past a house that bad things have happened in, or people are doing devious things. And it happens in the car world. And I would like to stumble across more of these confusing situations, but it's easier when they're clear cut.
Because it happens with registration plates as well. And I had a chap on last night that was telling me, Kit, he's got a supercar registration number plate page that he's growing. He's fascinated by plates. And when a plate gets lost, it really is gone.
Okay.
Like so many private plates, just, that's it. They're gone forever.
What, they go back into circulation, and you have
if
to buy
the
them again,
retention document's gone and like the proof of ownership is basically done for. So like there's so many valuable regs, like literally.
I've got to check one of mine. It's been on a certificate for about a decade. Sugar.
So many are just gone, and they also disappear with cars.
Yeah.
And that's what creates a lot of this value, right?
Yeah.
But is there any particular car that you think I'd love to open the barn door one day and see one of these?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot really. because it's not just the car. Sometimes it's the condition of the car. So there's ones like the VW Bora, which is not an exotic car. It's not even a classic yet, but it had 2,000 miles on the clock. So it's a 23-year-old car that got used for about half a year, and then the person died. And it got put in a normal garage, and that's it. It's out there. It's because I'm giving it away.
With the covers over the wheels.
Yeah. And it's
so cool.
And you're like, so it's like, okay, so that's not a sports car, but it's the time warp condition is bonkers. And the MG Metro Turbo that I did on a recent barn find, which Rich Porter ended up buying and paying a lot of money for. I'll make it clear. Some people think that I managed to get it for him for a couple £100. It's like, no, he paid real money for that.
Well, we actually did a podcast with Richard last week.
Yeah.
That will be live after this, because this is this Thursday's Save Our Cars episode.
Oh.
And Richard's will be live next week. But he never mentioned that car came from you.
Yeah.
In fact, he just made me feel extremely bad because he said, I saw you bought a new car today, and I told him what it was. And he said, this is what I bought today.
And you just went...
What do you want me to say?
It's one of the most, weirdly, this is the thing, Ben, it's one of the most popular recent barn finds I've done. And yet, that car 20 years ago was 500 quid, 600 quid. But it's the fact that it was in such amazing condition and it's just preserved, like mummified. That's so my dream cars for me to find. I would love to find a Citroën SM, an Alfa Montreal. Love to find an Alfa Montreal. Oh, what a sexy thing. An early Porsche would be mint. I mean, an air-cooled... I did do an air-cooled 911, but I'd love to find like a 356 or even a 964. That would be really cool.
What's the most insane barn find you've heard of? Maybe UK-based.
UK.
That you think, bugger, I wish I could have got my hands on that film.
Yeah. I mean, there was that Miura that was in the States recently that got found in New York or somewhere. That was just bonkers. It's been Gullwing Mercedes. In this country, Gullwing Mercedes, I mean, we're talking, £1 million plus cars. So proper blue chip investor cars. But cool cars. I don't know if I should say this, but a friend, top bloke, won't say his name, stumbled across an old man recently who needed some help with a car, and through the sort of trusted grapevine, he said, "Oh, you want to speak to him?" He went and they opened the garage up, and it was a Tomaso Pantera.
Yeah, I know what that is.
A sexy Italian muscle car of a thing, and I love them. He's had it from new, which is like a 1973 car, whatever. I'm hopefully trying to get to the point through 2 or 3 trusted people to be allowed to film that. It's not been on the road in a long time.
What's
That's
the
cool.
one film that slipped through your fingers
Yeah.
that you think would have been maybe one of the biggest viewed videos on the channel if you could have filmed it?
It's a very good question, that. There's been a few, really.
Without naming any names or anything. Maybe just the car and the condition.
Yeah. So there was an Aston DB5. Yeah. And I couldn't get to it. I didn't get a lot of notice, and the person was, I think, emigrating. And it was like, it's been sat there for a lot of years. It needs to go. I did do a DB4, which was a proper pinch me moment, but it was a DB5.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh shit. So I didn't get to that. And there's been a couple of cars, like normal cars, but owned by really famous people. And one person contacted me and said, "You're going to love this." It was won by a race driver for winning a certain race, given to him by his sponsor. We've already pulled it out and pressure washed it. I went, I said, I can't. He said it was covered in stuff and it was really dirty. We pulled it all out. We've cleaned it up. It's lovely. You should come and see it. I'm like, that's the major part of the story.
Ruined it. Well, you've actually not ruined it, but you've ruined it.
Yeah, so it's still the car, but the problem is, for the purposes of my narrative, and I get people accusing me of faking barn finds, which is hilarious. I think we live in this AI world where people genuinely think I'm going to that level of like squirreling a car away and sprinkling dust on it and putting boxes on it and well.
But do you think that's because, other than the negativity on the internet,
Yeah.
that's because it must be a lot easier now after all the hard work and reputation to get these opportunities literally come to you through your mailbox.
Yeah.
Where, do you remember the first time you ever did a barn find video?
Yeah, the first barn find I did was about a week before the world went into full lockdown. And it was, I filmed it myself, and it was not far from here. It was a local one in the town where I live. And my good mate, Tim, it's just so weird. He'd been looking all over the United Kingdom for a rare but nobody cares Austin Allegro SS, which was like the sporty one that nobody bought. He couldn't find one. He'd heard that a bloke in his village had an Allegro that he'd bought new, and he hadn't been out the garage in years, and the garage had got a bit vandalised. It was one of them. It was 150 metres from his front door. The bloke was a recluse, really difficult to live with, to deal with. It took him months, and finally he basically agreed to buy it unseen because the bloke wouldn't show it to him. And we went over there and broke open the lock, had to dig out hedges and things. The whole garage was overgrown and damaged, and it was in there. And again, a car that most people love to hate. That video did so well. And I think that's the sort of thing I used to do in my own time without, pre-social media, without videoing it. And I think it planted the seed for me of going, oh, wow, people like going on this journey. It's like when I was a kid and I used to just be wheeling mountain bikes and riding around looking for porno mags in hedges. Pre-internet. And then suddenly we'd be like, wow, look, there's an abandoned car in a hedge. Let's go and have a look at it. Or there's an old factory that's all dilapidated. Let's go and have a snoop round. And it's that whole just snooping around. We call it urban exploring now.
Before I saw a lot of the urban exploring videos come into the internet, and cause there's a chap, he's affiliated with Petrol Hedonism Club. He does a lot of the stuff with them. Can't remember his channel name.
Bearded Explorer?
That's the one.
Colin,
That's the chap. Yeah, I've watched several of his videos.
Yeah.
And Adam C even went out with him one day and went to go and discover these cars that had just been left, and they were in brambles and everything. But for me, my earliest, it's so weird to be saying this now, but Instagram has been around for a while. Social media is becoming, you can talk about it now like, oh, I saw years ago, which is crazy to say that. But the first kind of abandoned car content I ever saw on the internet was actually coming out of the Middle East.
Yeah.
It was a lot of the Dubai UAE cars that are genuinely the modern supercars covered in dust that have just been abandoned. Have you been tempted to go and cover those?
I know you're a businessman. You like talking about business related stuff. So
business
with my business head on and also my fascinated head on, I want to do.
That's a good combination.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but that's a good. A business hat and fascination are two of the best combinations.
For sure, it's the fascination. I really want to do what I'm doing, but more in Europe and also beyond. It's just obviously the biggest problem I have in some ways. It's a good problem to have maybe, but the late break show is me, and I can only do a certain amount of things in a week, and I only have a certain amount of energy in a week. And it's frustrating because you get tipped off. I mean, I have emails come in going, hey, possible barn find, Lancia Integrale. You're like, shit, the bed. We need to go and do this. And they're like, yeah, by the way, I need it. It's got to go in the next 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh, damn it. The next 2 weeks is flat out. And I don't know how to.
Yeah, because
I need an apprentice.
Just think what there could be in like Italy on some vineyard, like tucked away in a dusty, I'm picturing like a dusty garage with a battered door, and there just being like some old Ferrari behind it that 2 granddads ago had.
You asked me
there.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's what's so amazing and terrifying is there's still so much hoarded stuff. Someone actually said to me last week, are you worried that your business model is built on a finite amount of discoveries? And I went, no, because I know how many are out there. There's thousands. I could film one every day and my list would still be huge on my laptop. It's ridiculous.
See, we talk about the barn finds because A, they're one of the most popular videos that you do on your channel.
Yeah.
And B, you're clearly very passionate and aligned with those.
Yeah.
But I wrote down on my sheet on the way here that your channel is like a pick and mix bag.
Yeah.
Like, you put your hand in, say a video's going live, and you pick out one of the different types of suites.
Yeah.
And it's either barn find or car cave
Yeah.
or idle chat or one of these amazing pieces of content. It's very rare to find a YouTuber these days or a content creator that makes that work. But you do, because it's at the heart, it's all about the story, isn't it? It's all about the storytelling experience of every one of those individual things.
Yeah.
So away from the barn finds, you've also seen some pretty mega car caves in the last few years.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. And again, to get the trust to go into these confidential secret places, and some of them are, very secret. Some of them are like the people don't want to be on camera, or you mustn't say how long you've owned certain cars, or that car's not mine for the tax purposes. There's a lot of,
that
it's careful.
So I went on a rally 3 years ago. The chap won't mind me telling you the story, as long as I don't mention his name. But I went on a rally.
Adam,
Brian. There was a chap on the rally that had a LaFerrari that he brought for the trip. And he was nailing it, bombing it, 2 AirPods in constantly, I remember, because he was always on the phone. And he would bomb this laugh the whole time on the road trip. There was black smoke coming out of the exhaust. Like, he said he dailied it. And we're at the bar one night. We both had a drink. He's very straight talking bloke, but really, really, really good fun. And one thing I actually remember him saying that's lived to this day is when you're a bit stressed and you're like worried that things aren't coming together, he's like, it's fine. It will all come good.
Really?
Just stick with me and it will be fine. And I'll tell a story in a minute of why he was so correct about that, like a few hours after saying that. But when I was sat at the bar with him, that laugh was one of his 4.
Oh dear.
And he had a LaFerrari Aperta bolted sideways to his living room wall, and the fuel tank had been drained. And it was bolted sideways
as
to
a
his living
sculpture.
room as a sculpture. But it was now, he was going through a divorce and he was not living in that particular property, and he was really worried about it because it was just bolted on the wall. But that was in the UK.
God.
And one of the laughs was a prototype, and another one was his smoker, another one was an investment one, and one was sideways on the wall.
Bloody hell.
And that was just the start before you get to the Conan's eggs, before you get to a lot of stuff. And he wouldn't drive the car into like a public area at one of the shows we went to. He didn't want to be seen getting out of it. He didn't want anybody to know that he was anything to do with that LaFerrari.
Yeah,
and
dating
and
a
he
LaFerrari.
would never tell his story on the podcast, which was honestly incredible. It's like, we talk about some of the barn finds that you think, I wish I could share that, and I can't quite get them over the line. Like, there's so many stories out there from people that don't have followings, but have the most insane story, and he was one of them. But that obviously is making me reflect, sort of hearing my own version of events, on just how many stories like that in your world there must be out there.
Gosh, there's loads. And but the thing is like all history, it's being made now. So today, someone will be putting a car away in a garage or parking it in a back garden and thinking, I'm either going to come back to that in a year, or I'm going to sell it in a bit, or someone in the family's just died and I can't deal with that. And then 10 years time, maybe more, maybe less, don't know. It could be one for me. It could be something for me to go and film, or somebody will trip over it and put a picture on Facebook and people will go, WTF, what's going on here? And it just happens. Someone messaged me 2 days ago to say I was on holiday in, I think it was Mallorca or somewhere like that. And they went, I've got a screenshot through Google Maps, but this person's got a really early Audi Quattro in their back garden. And it's a 1983. And I spoke to a neighbour who knew them and said, that's been there 17 years, because I moved here 17 years ago and it was in the garden then. So how long's that been sat there? And that car in good condition is 80 grand right now, 90 grand. But how much was it when it got put away? And why was it put there? Was it worthless? Did it blow up? I don't know.
So what's your biggest frustration as a YouTuber to not be able to go and do that content? Is it managing your time to get abroad?
I think it's not managing not being able to manage the time and not having the bandwidth to be able to do it successfully. But also, I suppose, knowing how to scale up what I do without it damaging the authenticity of it. And then maybe a slightly selfish part of me looks at how a lot of the American YouTubers do it, and they pretty much buy everything they go and see. So it's already a pre-arranged deal. Like, I'm going to go and see this chap called Ben. He's got this for sale. He wants about this much. So on the QT, I've already given you the money. It's just a case of, I'm going to come in August and I'm going to pull out of the garage and film it all, but I am taking it home. And then I've got a warehouse, and then I'll decide, do I keep it, restore it, sell it on, give it away, whatever. That's when you go big.
But yeah, your channel is built on innocence.
Yeah, well,
as well, isn't it? In the sense that I'm
Thank you.
I'm not here to buy your car.
No.
I'm not here to disturb your story or to bring
No.
up anything you don't want. I'm just here to share this amazing thing that you don't quite realise how amazing this is to the world of absolute car nerds.
There's a lot of nerdery. Yeah. You know, I've tried to buy 1 or 2 barn finds, and maybe luckily one of them, at least the one I've chased really hard, he doesn't want to sell it. He wants to give it to his son when he dies, and so that's that.
If you could just only pick Europe, the Middle East, or the US to spend 6 months solidly going out there searching for the most amazing finds you could look for, where would you choose?
It'd probably be the US. It'd probably be the US because, you know, I've always had an interest in classic American cars, but not only that, obviously the US is physically so big with so many cars, big car culture, of course. And there's lots of other cars that aren't American, you know, so the chances of you landing a big fish, a rare catch, is pretty high.
Do you enjoy the video itself or everything in the run up to the video? Because I still don't think we've quite got across just what goes into the run up of the video. We've given a time frame, which they can sometimes be a year. So like, coming in the morning, bing, oh my God, there's an email from a name I don't recognise. Most of us, that freak us the hell out. Like, oh, get out of my mailbox.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh. Like, who is this and what is this? From there, like, do you have like a Trello card or like a notebook that you start to put together that particular story from the moment that email comes in? Because you're probably finding out little bits of information from sort of different points, aren't you?
Well, I'm terrible with like databases and spreadsheets, but Lisa, who is my one and only full-time colleague, she tries to put it into a spreadsheet with like what it is, how long it's been sat there, access, where they are geographically, because of course I can't just go from here to Kent and film one car and drive straight home, because I've got to take a videographer with me and he lives in Wales. So I'm always going to, we'll do 2 shoots, 2 days, then come home. And unfortunately, you do have to look at these things like a business, because I get people going, why didn't you stay another day and do a full detail and then stay another day and then try and fire it up because you failed the first time? And I'm like, because that's 3 days on one video, and that means it will not make any money. It will not make money if I have to pay a videographer to film it for 3 days and I'm at the office for 3 days on one shoot. That's the harsh reality. And it's a shame because, you know, if I was 21 and kind of doing it with a slightly fresh-faced and maybe less responsibility on my shoulders, that's what I would do.
But I think as much as people moan, maybe sometimes the enjoyment in the thing you're watching is hidden in the thing you're moaning about. And what I mean by that is someone moans that you haven't done yet the relatability of what you've done is pop out between 9 to 5 because you've got a family and a kid to get home to and pick up from school and all the rest of it. And the thing that you went to do in that time at work was go and locate a car that's been locked away for 70 years. You filmed it and you've popped home.
Oh my God, it's dead exciting.
And I don't think that we subconsciously realise at all sometimes where our emotions for the thing that we're enjoying actually come from.
Yeah.
But that could be one of them.
It's never boring, Ben. I still have, my dad always, he summed it up on my wedding day quite nicely. He says you're playfully serious but seriously playful. And I think what he's trying to say is I still have this childlike curiosity and like excitement about finding an old shitter in a hedge. But yet in my career, I have driven, you know, pre-production and concept cars which are priceless. But I still get excited about a Metro in a garage that hasn't been out since 1991. And I don't know why, I just do. And I love digging through all the paperwork and trying to piece together a story. If the person's passed away, you can't ask them questions. So there's sometimes a lot of unanswered stuff. And I just really bloody enjoy it. I love talking to people about it.
Do you have to send the videos to the people first as well for them to sign off and watch? And
a lot of people will
sometimes
ask.
by carrier pigeon if they don't know what YouTube is.
Yeah, a lot of people will sort of say, you know, you're not going to make me look like an arse, are you? And they're worried. And I'll just go, look, we got. I mean, Phil's a really good videographer, and I use a couple of other good guys. They know what they're doing. They know the tone of the piece. We're not out to capture anybody and expose them for being shysters. This is just a kind of easy listening. It's my equivalent of like, barn finds for me are like when I watch Spring Watch or Country File. It's just kind of like quite relaxing. Yes, you'll learn stuff. And yeah, you know, there's a few little jokes here and there I do mess around, like that Audi RS2. I was having a bit of fun with Henry the vacuum because I love Henry the vacuum. He's so much cooler than Dyson. But unless they're paying me, but they're not, so it's okay. But so yeah, I just really you got to know your market, haven't you? You got to know what people want, and people don't come to me and my channel for shoutiness, I suppose. Mine's quite long form, slower, and my demographic is all over the shop. It really is all over the shop. It's sort of, it starts in the 20s and it goes up to the mid 60s. It's just in the sort of pyramids in the mid 40s to late 40s.
Midlife crisis there.
yeah, I think there is a bit of that. And yeah, and I do wonder whether or not. So if I was just looking at it from a harsh business point of view, I should just film barn finds, and I should just accept that being typecast is okay. But you going back to the variety of the Late Break Show, it was all about the variety for me that made it key and different.
But this is the battle that so many people in their lives and people in YouTube and creating and television and all sorts come across.
Yeah.
What's going to earn me the most money?
Yeah.
But how do I want to spend my time?
Yeah.
And that is such a challenging balance to figure out.
Mm.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I think to myself on a daily basis with my other businesses, you know, if I took all the time I spend doing the podcast and chatting to people, where would one of my businesses be from that time and that thought process where I was thinking about which barn find videos to write down on this iPad earlier versus where I should open the next chicken shop for Gertwings? But it's how you want to spend your time and the emotion that you get out of that.
Yeah.
And I think that is the thing that no one actually can ever have the answer for. But it seems to me that you've made how you wanted to spend your time.
I think so. I'm a naturally creative person and probably a bad business person. So I've had to sort of push the needle a little bit because what I do has responsibility. Like, it has to earn money. It's a business. I've dived in feet first just before COVID was a thing. I can't act for shit. So if I'm not interested in something, you just can't make me interested in it. Even if you were to wave a lot of money at me, and it's a shame in some ways, but I can't act.
Which baffles my brain that you have a Tesla out there, because all the piss taking you've given me on social media and posts about the type of cars that I buy, and you are driving what I perceive to be one of the most personalityless cars money can buy. Would you disagree?
Nobody knows about that car yet, Ben. It's the whole scenario surrounding that car is a secret, yet to be revealed on the channel.
You own an electric vehicle.
Yes, I own it. Hey, but I set the world record for the quickest street legal electric car. It was nearly a decade ago, 2016. And I built that car from 2012.
What was it?
It's an electric car that
I did not know this.
Yeah. I did it before Elon fucking did it. And I did it for 26 grand. And I went to hell and back to do it. Yeah, I built a 9-second street legal electric car from a shed.
I'm genuinely in shock.
I like to think in a small way. I was quite pioneering because people did not know what the hell was going on back there. Formula E didn't exist. The plaid Model S stuff didn't exist. Electric cars were not as mainstream as they are now.
It's not the electric car. It's you. It's just.
Am I a bit strange for you?
No, I can know because I can see the things. I understand why you like the things you like the barn finds, and the car caves, and the type of content you like. And that's just so not in the picture.
No,
it sits off to the side. If I had a gun to my head and I didn't know, I'd say no. There's no way he'd like that, but he actually does.
I think it's eclectic is the way I am. I think there's different cars are fit for different purposes, and that's why I have a bit of a sort of selection of mostly crap cars, because I like that they do different jobs. People go, you can't be a car fanatic if you like EVs, and I'm like, well, my EVs save me enough money on a monthly basis that I spend more money on the V8 Classic, keeping it on the road, doing it up, and when I do drive it, it feels even more exciting because I've been driving that. And I've got a 2-cylinder car, 3-cylinder car, loads of 4s, flat 6s, flat 4s, V8s, V6s. I've got them all.
See, now we're getting somewhere because that's genuinely what I love to do.
Yeah.
So I've got this thing of owning as many car brands as I possibly can.
That's cool.
Over time.
SsangYong, you're going to have a SsangYong soon? I
no.
can see you with the SsangYong.
No. But I've got a few that I haven't done yet. I'm yet to buy a BMW.
Yeah.
I've never been obsessed with Beamers at all. It's one of the bottoms of my list.
I've only had one BMW for 24 hours.
Until I drove a manual standard M2. And I absolutely loved it. Yeah. And if I was to get an M2, I would buy a manual standard M2. I think
that's
and
great
I would love to do that at some point, but to scratch that itch, so I'd love to try all those different brands. But a brand that I wrote down specifically on my iPad, which many viewers of Road to Success won't know, that the battery on this iPad only lasts about as long as the episodes itself, because I've now had it so long.
And it's a bit warm, probably.
So it's a bit of a game in itself while I'm sat here, but I wrote down on it while it still had a bit of charge. You have an obsession, it seems, with smart cars.
I bloody love smarts. Love them. Do you know why? Because they are they are a really good example of people's preconceptions of what it is versus the reality of what it is.
I'm going to find a picture.
And by the way, my electric drag car, I'll send you a couple of clips if you want to share them or put a picture on the screen. But yeah, so I set the European record in 2015, a decade ago. World record 9 years ago, and that held. I only got beaten by General Motors about 2021, and then the Tesla Plaids and stuff came along, which are deeply impressive. But yeah.
This is a photo that I took.
The shit is that?
I can't like. It's in my head when I was
tank? What is that?
When I was searching for it a minute ago, I thought it was a lot better than it actually was. This picture. Now, the reason I took this photo. Do you have? Firstly,
is it looking
do
through
you
a rainy
or anybody
window?
Watching the visual version of this have any idea what that is?
Are you looking through the window of a car on a rainy day and there's a tree reflecting in the background?
It was parked next to me at my local coffee spot in the car park the other day, and you see the green bits. I took a picture because I was in my car with green bits all over it, and it made me laugh. Now, it was a Smart.
Yeah.
But do you know what kind of Smart it was?
I mean, I really can't see a lot. It wasn't a cross blade, was it?
It was a Brabus.
Oh, it was a Brabus.
It was a Brabus smart car, and that's what all the green bits were for.
Right.
All over it, didn't it? And I took a photo knowing full well that we were going to be doing a podcast in a couple of weeks' time, and I wanted to bring it up in the middle of the episode.
Do you know smart Brabuses
but
are
it
such
did
fun.
Stop and make me look twice.
Well, a smart Brabus, they did a 4.2 and a coupe, a roadster. I've got the roadster, and that car is an example of I saved it from scrap. I was told that it wasn't a runner. I got it, and it was a runner. And then it transpires that when I did a video on the fact that I'm going to save this and resurrect it, I had a phone call from a guy whose partner bought that car new and owned it until it got written off.
That's yours.
That is mine. Yeah.
Mine's down here.
2 guys, 1 cup. Is that right?
I just drank Johnny's water for our streamers that didn't know what was going on
It's
there.
absolutely fine. I'm all right with it. It's fine.
Sorry, carry on,
I've
sir.
written it on my hand of like, that's what's going to happen today, and it did. So this guy phoned up and went, I know that car. It's my partner's car. She bought it new, and she'd had it all the way up until it got written off when someone vandalised the roof and it let water in. She went for like a dog walk, and it rained, and someone tried to break into the car, and it basically filled it with water and shat all its ECU. So he went, but she's had it from new. It's a one-owner car. So I went, it's a one-owner car. It's done 180,000 miles on a Smart. And she went, yeah, she's done all of them. She loved it. She loved that car. She cried when it went, when the insurers wrote it off. And I went, well, she got any service history with it? She went, unfortunately, again, I couldn't tell the full story because it involved basically witness protection and a really abusive marriage. And yeah. So I know her. I've not met her, but I've spoken to her on the phone. But that is a one-owner from new Smart Brabus that's done 180,000 miles. And I just did it. I wanted to save it. Going back to one of your first questions, I just looked at it and went, that car deserves to live on. It's too good to die yet.
A car, I say of the same ilk, it's not, it's the same shape.
Yeah.
That I attempted to convince my mum to buy,
Yeah.
but couldn't, was the Aston Martin Cygnet.
The Cygnet.
And
Yeah.
I saw one last week for the first time ever on the actual road in the wild.
They're rare, yeah, they're
And
rare.
one came straight past my house road as I was turning into my entrance. And it properly made me, without even thinking about it, go, but that, the thumb was out, like, I like that. And I got a thumb back from the owner. And I don't know what it is about them, but I feel like that's a car that could be, if it's tucked away in a barn somewhere, part of a collection that's been forgotten about, the next Renault 5 Turbo in 30 years, but
100.
probably worth a lot more.
You're dead right. They were a laughing stock when they launched it. They did it for a tax, for government tick box approval for emissions, and it was a clever move. It was shrewd and it was cheap. We all laughed at it when we reviewed them. We went, what the hell? It was 50 grand for a Toyota IQ, which is a really good car. But, when you've got diamond stitching and like a mouth from an Aston on it, you're like, what's going on? Fast forward to now, I think they're 50 grand now. I think they hit rock bottom in value and then they went, chuk. And I think it's the novelty value of them. And they are rare. I don't think many people bought them. So they are rare.
They did a V8 one.
What?
They did a very powerful one. They did a one-off. I'll Google this now before I get facts wrong, which I usually do. I swear it's green. I know it's green.
They did a V6 Brabus coupe. Did you know that? So the Brabus coupe, the Smart Brabus is 3-cylinder turbo. They married 2 3-cylinders together and made a V6 turbo, and it's rapid. They only sold, I think they made about 5. It's a proper supercar killer, that.
I was right.
They did.
I was right. If it loads, this is a Piston Heads article. One-off Aston Martin Cygnet V8 now for sale.
It's got to have an Aston V8, surely.
These are very special, custom-made Aston Martins, and there is a V8-powered Cygnet. It's got twin exhaust.
I should know this, but
In the summer of 2018, the lucky few that got to drive probably the maddest Aston Martin since the Bulldog into 3 meters of Cygnet was crammed 4.7 litres of Aston Martin Vantage V8.
Yeah, that's the Vantage V8 motor, yeah.
Yeah, so they put that in this.
That's
Look at it, and
neat.
it's got flared arches and all that stuff. Or before we get to it, 'cause I'm hoping, let me see if...
I'm down with that. I like a really small car and I like a really large car. I've always been a bit strange like that.
Does it say what it sold for?
There was a time when I had a bubble car, a Messerschmitt, no, not a Messerschmitt, a Heinkel bubble car, and the largest post-war Cadillac ever made. I had them at the same time.
Oh,
for no apparent reason.
Why do people do this price on application?
Because they're twats, then. And the problem, do you know the problem with twats is? And this
I wanted to know what that was worth.
This is a piece of really important information from my brother. He said, the problem with twats is they're everywhere and they share our air. And it's really true. You have to share the air with twats.
Do you know what? in the week, I was asked by somebody, when are you starting a merch store, Ben? When are you going to do your own merch? I know that you, on every one of your videos, there's a little shop button.
Yeah, I do.
You
We
do a great job.
No, we're not doing a great job. We're trying, but it's a room for improvement.
Quotes like that, I am going to put on a store with, the downloadable artwork that you can send out in frames. You can have it on a coaster or a poster or something on the wall. Because I'm convinced there's a handful of people, everything that gets said like that go like, I'll never forget that, and I need it somewhere.
Yes.
There's so many great things that get said on this podcast occasionally.
The best-selling pieces of merch that we do for our podcast, the Smith and Sniff podcast, are the weird isms that either I've heard from someone I've met, or my brother's said, or an impression of somebody. And they become our best sellers. It's so freaky. And then it becomes like a cult thing. People quote it back to you all the time.
So my phone has just loaded with the new Google AI overview. It's found the data and pulled it on how much that V8 Aston Martin Cygnet sold for.
It's probably a couple of $100,000, is it? Or
oh, come on.
More?
Get us right. Get this right.
More or less.
You got to guess. Go on, what's your final answer?
Can you say north or south?
You weren't thinking wrong.
I'm going to say £250,000. I doubt it's more than that.
Double it.
Double? Wow.
£500,000 a V8 Aston Martin.
So that's gone to an absolute Aston pervert collector, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's people out there, and I find this when I'm doing car cave collections, there's people out there that obviously they've got a level of wealth where they can buy all the predictable stuff. And then when you get a wild card thing and they go, well, I've got like a room of Astons already, but I'd love to have a really weird one in the middle that nobody else has got. Bollocks, let's just buy it.
Do you ever struggle relating to the mindset of a guest you've had on Car Caves?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the car world is varied, isn't it? And people's taste is really different with cars and with everything in life. So, yeah, I kind of sometimes wonder why you'd buy those things. I especially struggle a lot of the time when people have multiples of the same type of car, because you're like, it's basically giving you the same experience. You know, I like...
So what do you think of Magnus Walker's Porsche collection then? So he has basically got 4911s. That is...
Yeah, that's a lot, because I think the original story that I remember reading about Magnus, this was years ago, was he wanted one of every year. And I think he started off saying, I want every year of air-cooled 911 and a different spec. And I kind of went, okay, every year, yeah, that's all right. I mean, I guess if you can afford it. But I think I would understand that more if you had another room with other non-911s as well. But then who am I to judge? Like my car taste is weird and appalling to some people. So
what do you think of my car taste?
Well, how old are you, Ben?
26.
I mean, if I was 26 and I could buy a Ferrari or a McLaren, I mean, that's a pretty pinch me moment. So I think that's pretty cool.
That is Chris Slicks interrupting this podcast, that is. He's calling because we're off on a road trip at the end of this week.
Where are you going?
I'm not sure if I can say. Southern Spain.
You're buying a car? Are you going to...
No, we're getting away.
Oh, okay.
So he's probably ringing me to ask a favour, like, will I send Toby to go and pick him up so that he can get there? He's actually calling me again for a second time.
Is he a guy that needs to get rid of a car quickly for certain reasons, and so this car needs to disappear? So let's go to the south of Spain and leave it there.
No, he's not that guy.
Just checking. Just thought I'd check.
He's not that guy. I did have something there, though.
He's not that guy. Can you look when you're in the south of Spain? Just keep your eyes open down driveways, carports, back gardens.
I'm going to see so much more now
Yeah.
after this conversation. I'm going to see opportunities for films absolutely everywhere, bursting around every single corner. And I think I find the idea around Italy especially fascinating.
Yeah.
What was the last supercar you lived with or was given as a press car?
The last one I drove. Last one I drove for any length of time. That's a really good question. Rimac Nevera or
Oh my lord.
or I mean, the last Ferrari that I remember driving, new one would have been a GTC Lusso. I would have thought the family one, which I quite like.
Do you like racing seats?
I don't mind racing seats. I think it depends on the combination of seat and suspension. Because if you've got like rock hard damping and an unforgiving seat, that's proper like dental problems.
GT3 RS.
Yeah, the RS is too hard for the road. You just need the GT3.
Have you?
That's basically the truth.
Have you driven one at length on the road?
Yeah. It's,
Okay,
it's too hard.
I think so too.
But you got to remember our roads are getting worse, and that's part of the problem.
The best road car in my current stable, potentially ever, is the McLaren 600 LT.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt, it is so good.
I've not driven one.
Would you like to?
Yeah, I'd love to drive an LT.
I'd love to send it up to you on the way and go for it. Tell me your experience. I like sharing my cars with my friends and seeing their opinions and stuff on them as well, because I think that's part of the process. And too many people are stuck on 5,000 miles a year, not use it, worried about the mileage, and that genuinely isn't me. I buy them with the giggle in my head of, can I make it the highest mileage one? Can I make it that I've got the most stories about the most friends that drove it? And the time I managed to insure a 22, 23-year-old for £20 on it. Like
I really admire that mindset with supercars, because my worry is with a lot of these exotics is people buy them and all they think about is the next owner. They think about how much is the car going to be worth if I touch it or sit in it or start it, and do I need to order it in a spec that the next guy or woman is interested in? And it's like, you've immediately thought about this wrong. Buy what you want to buy and drive the bastard thing. Because like, I've got a pedigree cat, okay? But I let my cat go out whenever it wants to, because it doesn't know it's a fucking pedigree. It just thinks it's a cat. It's just a cat. Like, it still eats and poos and it claws things if it wants to, and it licks my head in the middle of the night. It's a lovely, look, I love her, Lola, but she doesn't know she's a pedigree. Your car doesn't know it's a pedigree. It's still a machine, right? It still has bearings and oil and bolts and nuts. It's a beautiful car, but it needs to be used. If you don't use it, they die. They just die.
I agree, and it's especially with McLaren, if you don't use them, they just die.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've never owned a self-healing car. McLaren have developed something extremely interesting, which is the self-healing option, where miraculously it fixes itself. So it does develop faults, but it genuinely fixes them. This is completely true.
I love that.
We washed it one day on the drive, and I say we, meaning Louis, otherwise known as Child Labour Services, 16-year-old apprentice that works for me.
Child Labour Louis.
Watched it on the drive, and I think he got a bit close with the pressure washer. And then afterwards, the window wouldn't go up and the door button wouldn't work.
Oh, man.
So it would, as soon as it went up, it would drop back down halfway, and the button under the driver's door stopped working.
Yeah.
And you had to double click the key to get the door to pop. I honestly left it for a week in a dry garage. It was absolutely fine.
Oh, that's like a mobile phone in a bowl of rice.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
You just need
McLaren.
McLarens need to sell a massive bowl of rice for McLaren people, and you just drive it in, and then just leave it in there for a week.
Whistling Diesel actually put a lot of rice in a car I saw in a video once to soak it up. But what that man does with cars is probably not to your taste.
He's
in your naughty books.
He's obviously very famous, and he's very successful at what he does. But his attitude, the whole mindset, it couldn't be further away to what I believe in.
Does that frustrate you that that's what the algorithm wants?
I think it's. I'm going to sound like a dad now, because I am. Damn it! I like to try and inspire people in some way, whether it's to mend a car or dream about a car, go driving, learn how to maintain, whatever the hell it is. I just don't think his approach is just, it's not to inspire people. It's like my son finds it funny when, I don't know, he jumps a Ferrari on a motocross track, but it's just a dick move as far as I'm concerned.
It's because the empathy has been removed.
Yeah.
For the object.
Well, only that, you can order, just because you can afford to go and buy a Ferrari, and this thing's been designed and built and it's gone through quality control and stuff, to just sort of like set it on fire or saw it up. Is that comedy? I think it's not. It's not funny. It's not cool. But then he's probably going to think that I'm an absolute stroker because I drive around a 180,000 mile smart Brabus. So, that's the world.
But it's a smart Brabus with purpose and meaning and history and fun. And ultimately, cars are there to make you happy. And I think you, of all my guests, understand that probably more with the experiences you've had than many others. So,
well, I
Jonny,
appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time once again to sit in the back of my extremely warm van.
It is warm van.
By a pond.
By a lovely pond. Probably is a
Because it's
pond.
probably under 0.75 of an acre.
Yeah, I've not measured it. I've walked around it a few times. I've seen a crayfish.
And there's a turtle that lives in the one at the bottom.
Genuinely not pissing around. There's a turtle that lives in that one. I was on a phone call once, walking around the pond, because I like to walk when I'm on a phone call. I saw a turtle. I dropped the phone, not in the water, picked it up, said, I'll call you back, and then ran to the farmer who owns the place and dug these ponds 20 years ago. I went, there's a pissing turtle in there. I said, I'm not seeing things. This is like not a Loch Ness moment. I saw the creature. It was this big. And he went,
have you taken acid?
No, he went, do you know what? Is that still alive? He went, I put that in there 21 winters ago and it's still alive. I went, 21 winters ago? Why is there a turtle in there? Turns out it was a pet that somebody didn't want. And he said, I'll take it on. And it's a big ecosystem here. I'll just see how it fares. Well, it's fared well. It's the size of a basketball. And I can't believe it. I've said it. One other person has seen it. Because up until that point, everyone thought I was crying wolf and Jonny was going mental and seeing turtles that don't exist. But it's real. It's bloody real.
Thank you for joining me in the back of my van.
Yeah, it's not relevant to cars.
Thank you.